All right. Welcome to CIT85 HTML CSS. Here at Fresno City College, 100% online 9-week course. I'm glad you're here. I like teaching this class mostly because it makes me get back into HTML and CSS, and because I mostly focus on programming. It's always good to get back into HTML and CSS because it's a fundamental skill. Now, some of you, this is your program. You're in the web development program. This is not the first time you've seen me. This is probably more than the second or possibly third because I teach all the classes within the core web development program. So if that's you, welcome back. If you're a student who has never taken my class before and you're here, maybe you're not into this program, web development, but you saw this in the schedule and you're like, you know what? That sounds great. That's not something I could use. I would agree with you. Even in the day that we live, and meaning in the time that we live with all the generative AI. How many know that term, right? Generative AI. We'll actually talk about that through the course as well. Even in the time of rising AI capabilities, is it still an important skill? So I thought I would go out today and ask to Google, right? Which, by the way, if you haven't noticed, Google's looking more like ChatGPT every day, but not a surprise. We could talk about that. And I ask it, right? Is it still good to learn HTML and CSS in 2025? And it's still considered a valuable skill and a great foundation for web development, right? So that's the thing I would say to you. Like, this class is very, very important in the program of web development. So, and this course is intended that you've already taken CIT 82, which is Intro to Web Development, which I have had several of you in the first 9 weeks of the semester, right? So that's why if you hear me talking about, hey, you've seen me before, maybe that's a course you've taken. Maybe you've taken the CIT 28, which is client server databases. Maybe you've taken 93. The intention is that you take 82, 85, and then 93. Now, have students taken it out of sequence? Yep. And you might wonder why they do that. Mostly because it's like whatever semester they've come into the campus, that they saw it in the schedule. But we also try to counsel them about taking it in sequence. But we can't always control that. And the reason we didn't make this a prerequisite, meaning you had to take 82 before 85, was because we knew there were people from the industry who just wanted to come in and get some of that skill, and so that's why we've left it open. I'm still trying to kind of determine if I want to leave it that way because I'm the lead faculty for this program. Okay, coming back here. Let's actually, and notice we're actually in. You've gotten to this because you've already clicked into here. But when you're here, if you're, again, new to my course, you will wonder what this setup looks like and why it looks like this and why you can't just move through things. You like anywhere you want to click. And that's because I set up my course to enforce sequential, meaning you have to move through this item complete and to get to the next item. So you have to do it in order, just to be cool, just to be to the point. So in this case, here you are, right? You are here. 100%. So let's actually talk about some of the stuff I've already talked about, but I want to make sure you have an understanding coming into the course. Yes, it's 100% online, but that does not mean you cannot come on to campus. I'm in BE 113. Look at Simple Syllabus to find my office. We have a tutor for this class. Zach is also available via Zoom. All of my office hours are both in person except for Friday. Monday through Thursday, it's on campus or on Zoom. So anytime my office hours running, I'm also in Zoom. So if you come into Zoom and I don't immediately let you in, I could be with somebody, meaning I could be with a student and I'll message you. But the point is just that yes, it's a 100% online course, but don't let that don't, if you've taken courses online before and you've never reached out for help, this might be the course where you want to change that, because if you need help, you definitely want to reach out and get it, because it's 9 weeks, it's compressed. You're taking a 3-unit course, which is normally taught over 18 weeks, and we're compressing it in the 9 weeks. So it's going to go fast, and staying up to date, staying current with the coursework, way important. Okay, so for this semester, you are going to see, and again, you wouldn't know because you haven't taken another semester, but I'm just telling you here is that part of my job here on the campus, in addition to teaching the web development program, the core classes, is I'm also on a grant where we're implementing AI into the classroom. And so I have created, along with Rick Gomez, a system to allow us to use AI in the context of a course. And you're going to see this in week 1, right? So this information that you're getting right here, covered in the review. In addition to the syllabus, which I recommend here that you go read, okay? Now, changes are 10% of your grade comes from that. And then 5% comes from your attendance. So these two are different. In other semesters, I didn't grade attendance. I just had it there for students to do a simple reply or maybe ask a question. But in this case, these now become graded items, right? And now the rest of the course, and you can go look at this. You can go look under simple syllabus. You'll have a project and you'll have weekly work, and you'll see this as we go through. So by the way, that's a really good thing, which will probably be on the review, is for you to go look at simple syllabus and know how that grade is broken down. Okay. All right. So for the course, the materials we're using for this course, completely free, not a textbook. It's actually a video series from Dave Gray. Rick and I alternate teaching this, and right now I've been using Dave's content for about a year, and I really like it, and students seem to respond to it well. He does a really nice job. So we're going to be doing most of Dave's, all of HTML, and that's kind of the thing. Like HTML actually is going to take us about 3 days of due dates, and then the rest of it is CSS. And then you'll have a project where you actually build something with base HTML and CSS. Okay, but Dave Gray is who we're going to use. Like I said, read the syllabus because it is good to understand how other things I made it on. I've talked about attendance is important. If you get behind, if you miss 2 weeks, you're subject to drop. So don't let yourself get into that situation. I do accept late work, but there's also some other options there. So make sure you check that out. And the course setup I've already talked about, right? It's in sequential mode. You have to do it in order. Okay. My goal. My goal is actually that you enjoy working on this class. Because learning by doing, which is like 95% of what you're going to do in this class, learning by doing is fun. And it is good for your brain. And you might think, wow, Rio, AI is going to take over everything. You and I could have a conversation about that. I actually had a conversation the other day with somebody about this, a student who was concerned about this. And it is good to try to look into the future and see how jobs are going to be affected. But the truth is, nobody knows. As humans, we still need to learn. Our part of what I enjoy in life is learning and skill acquisition, right? So it is still vital, in my opinion. All right, so I think I've gotten through, but I think I'm going to talk about this just for a second. And you might wonder, working ahead, well, this is week 0, right? You're already working ahead. Hopefully you get in here, like I said, the Wednesday before the semester starts. But in my class in general, and this is what I'd want you to know before we do the last thing, which is actually how you need to submit and move on to the next item. But in my course, and by the way, if those of you who have taken my course, you're going to see week 1 attendance. One of the things you could talk about is this feature of what I do, which is that I grade Monday through Friday in the morning, every morning. I've made it successful this semester so far. So what that means is if you submit early enough, I can look at your work and give you feedback if you may have missed something or you needed to add something, and you can resubmit and get those points back. But the key is you have to work ahead. And if you're somebody who A, procrastinates, or B, doesn't feel motivated to do it until the due date, I'm just trying to give you additional reasons to break that habit, which by the way, doesn't serve me either. I'm actually having to record this ahead, even further ahead so that it's out there. But here's why I actually do it is I feel relieved because I know I don't have this thing hanging over my head. So try to put yourself in a good situation is what I'm saying. Okay, so what do you need to do here, right? This is actually where you actually have to do something. And what the thing you have to do here is provide me your GitHub username. And if you have not heard of GitHub, you have not taken my class, because those of you who have know exactly what I'm about to ask you, which is give me your GitHub username. If you don't have one, then go set one up. Now I'm already logged in, right? But you're going to go through and create a free. And let me just say this: GitHub is great, but sometimes if you don't have an account and you go through the setup process, it may ask you, "Hey, you want a paid something?" No, say no. It's a free, and then you'll set up a username as part of that. And then that is what you will give me when you hit start assignment here. And all you have to do is, like, my GitHub username is Rhea Waller, right? Your name may or may not be available when you go to set up, if you're setting up, right? If you have already had it, if you already have one, then you can just hit submit here, right? You don't have to give me your URL for GitHub or any of that. Just give me your username. Now, what happens when you give me your GitHub username? Then I'm going to invite you into a part of GitHub where our course is located. And this is what you're going to hear when you get to the setup. Let me just do GitHub 85. Now, 85 is our course organization, because when you sign up for GitHub, you get your own little space on GitHub. But in this case, the work you're going to be doing for this course is in our GitHub repo. And you don't, and it's a private, we'll have private and public repos. Don't worry if you don't know that. Basically, it's a folder, but it's more than a folder. So you'll learn about that as well. But in this case, coming back here, you need to have that username. I invite you into the GitHub organization so that when you get to the Thursday night item for week 1, you have to have had the invite and you have to accept it in order to do the work, right? So again, timeliness is important. You know, if you're waiting, if you're coming in late, which by the way, you might get dropped, so don't do that. And I actually talk about that in attendance, right? Okay, but when you do this, when you give me your GitHub username, you hit submit, right? Canvas gives you this nice little, confetti. And then what you can do is you can hit next. But if I scroll back to the course, what I will see now is that's got a little check mark, and that's got a little dash, meaning you haven't completed the work for this week. And you had to submit this, you have to view this. And this is going to be on your week 1 review, which is here, okay? And so once you do that, once you view this, again, it's not a long video. It talks about Discord, the benefits of how to get in. It's not required, but do at least understand it, okay? And then once you view that, then you will get into week 1 attendance, which again I will have released by the Wednesday before the start of the semester. Hey, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for choosing this course. I look forward to connecting with you again. BE 113 here at Fresno City College. Let's get going.